Hello, I hope you all are having a good day. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Melissa Adams Van Houten. I was diagnosed with gastroparesis 3 years ago and started the Fighting for Change advocacy group about 2 years ago or so. When I first came on Facebook after being diagnosed, I found, surprisingly, a lot of support groups here. They are wonderful places, traditional support groups where you can go in and talk about your daily needs, get a lot of information and advice from people who understand what you're going through and can really get you through the day. They are wonderful places to be, and Facebook has some excellent support groups. But what I did not see is any kind of real coordinated advocacy effort. Now, this was important to me because as I saw it, my friends in the groups were struggling, really suffering, and some of them dying. And to not see any kind of coordinated effort where we could get that message out, spread that awareness, and work for a change really bothered me. So a few ladies and myself ended up establishing the Fighting for Change group as a place where we could sort of come and discuss those things, to unite our efforts, unifying the cause, to spread awareness, to talk about, what are our goals, what are our needs, what kind of resources do we have, and how can we really make a difference and accomplish something for this community in terms of advocacy. Now, the beginning of the year, I started looking back and reviewing what we've accomplished, what we still need to accomplish, and I put up a post saying, I really appreciate all your help, and I do appreciate all your help. You guys are wonderful, and I'm so thankful for everybody who gets involved in these efforts. But I put up a post talking about how we probably needed to have a discussion at the beginning of the year about what kind of projects we wanted to pursue this year. And it occurred to me that, maybe instead of discussing specific projects, we need to start maybe a step back and have a little deeper, more fundamental conversation in this area. Because what I see is, before we can go forward, that maybe we need to discuss what is our mission, what are the primary things, overall big things that we want to accomplish, and how do we get there? Before we talk about specific projects, maybe we need to examine, what is our greater mission and what are our greater goals. So I'm going to kind of start there today, and then I'll try to put up another post. I don't know if it will be video or written, but I will try to put up another post discussing those specific projects and what we can be working on, with your input, of course, because I'm not an idea person. But yeah, when I started Fighting for Change, I really wanted it to be a place where we came together and discussed everything. Not a place where, I came in and dumped a bunch of information on you and said, I think we need to be doing this and this and this. That just wasn't the idea behind this. And I feel like we've gotten a little off track. And, I don't want to, rather than continuing on that path, I'd rather take a step back and say, how do we change this? And how do we get back to the original vision that I had for this group and that I thought we all had for this group? And, first of all, I want to apologize because Facebook has some real limitations here. I would love to just be able to get together with all of you in person in a room somewhere, sit down and have a normal conversation. You and I talking back and forth, exchanging ideas. But because we are largely homebound, and we do not have financial resources, that's nearly impossible. I'm not saying it can't happen at some point. If you guys want to pursue that, that'd be great. I will do my best to make that happen. But right now, we are kind of limited with what Facebook has to offer. So I'm doing a video, hoping that you'll comment on the video or contact me through private message or something to discuss this. So I do apologize for the limitations that Facebook places on us. The other thing I want to say is that I kind of feel like I'm in an awkward position here because, you know, I just created a Facebook group. And I didn't even do that alone. Well, I created it, but there were a couple of other ladies, the other administrators, that were involved in that too. So all I did was start a Facebook group. And I am not any kind of a leader. I do not have any elected position. This is not a nonprofit group. This is not any kind of organization at all in the typical sense of the word. So y'all didn't appoint me as leader. I can't assume a leadership position. I haven't been elected and I have no power here. The only power I have is to come to you and say, this is my vision. This is what I want for us. And I hope you will support this effort. I can try to convince you that what we're doing excuse me, is something valuable and worthy of your time and effort. And I will tell you that I think you deserve so much more than what you're getting. I think that the treatment we receive and the efforts on our behalf out there in the real world are sad, and we need to change that. And I'm here to try to help do that. I can't tell you what to do. I can't force you to do it. I don't generally have really even very good ideas about how to change that. But what I do have is a real willingness to work as hard as I can to make things happen for this community. I think about you all. I know you all, and I am committed to you all. And I don't want you to be in this situation anymore. I want to make a difference for us. I have a passion for that, and I am willing to work every second I can work to make that happen. But I can't do that alone, and I can't do that by just coming in to the group and saying, okay, here's what we need to do. I need help with these ideas. I need you all to tell me this is what I want to happen. And then, I can try to help find ways to make that happen. We can try to find those ways together if you're willing to do that. That would be a wonderful thing. And I think we've kind of strayed from that. So keeping that in mind, I'd kind of like to talk about what you think our overall goals should be. I think we can probably all agree that the overall unifying theme, the overall goal is to find a cure for gastroparesis. I don't think there's anybody in our community who's going to disagree with that one. But I also don't think that short of a miracle, I'm going to wake up tomorrow and find out that there is a cure for gastroparesis. So while we're pushing for that cure, and while we're waiting for that cure, I think there are a lot of other things that we can be focusing on, a lot of other goals that we can be setting that will make our daily lives better, that will make our situation better, and that will also help push us closer to someone finding that cure. So what I'd like to do is set some priorities as a group to outline these are the areas we want to focus on, the sort of smaller areas below finding a cure, and then really set out and develop a plan to work on those things. For instance, if I were setting priorities, I might say things like we need fundraisers, we need legislative efforts, we need better care in the ER and in doctor's offices. We need better doctor education. We need to fight for disability for our people, or get it recognized as a disability in and of itself. We need to get the insurance companies on board with covering the treatments that we need to survive. We need to get the FDA to approve drugs that will help us with our daily symptoms. We maybe need to get media attention. We need to have things written about us. We need to get on a video show. I don't know. I don't know. These are just some of the areas that I might set as priorities. And what I'm asking you is, what are your priorities? What are your big overarching goals besides a cure? And I'm thinking that if we can identify these are the areas we think are important to work in: fundraising, finding better ER care or establishing better ER care, getting media attention. Maybe we can divide up into sort of subgroups or committee-like groups and say, you know, I volunteer to work on this area and I volunteer to work on this area, and sort of break up into our separate groups like that and work on these littler projects while still coming together in the Fighting for Change group and giving reports on these and saying, you know, this is where we are, this is how it fits into the big picture. So, for example, if I'm wanting to work on getting better care in the ER, well, maybe I will sit down and say, to establish better ER care, the first thing I have to do is come up with a definition of what better care is. What do I think good care looks like? And then, you know, I can sit down and make a list. This is what good care looks like to me. Maybe I can say then, how do I get the ERs to understand that this is what we need with care? Are there ERs out there whose administration will allow groups of patients to come in and meet with their staff and say, this is what we want? Can we make a list maybe of every ER out there in the United States or even beyond? I know we have some international members too. Can we make a list of all those ERs and write a letter to them saying, here are the things that we see as problems, and here's what we'd like to see happen instead? I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the steps would be of getting people to notice and change ER care. But what I do know is if we can break these tasks down smaller and have people working on what they're passionately committed to, and get a plan in place and then figure out how to accomplish that plan and who's going to work on that plan, I think we have a better chance of getting where we want to be. Now, again, I cannot force you to do this. You may tell me this is crazy. Let's go back to just talking about individual projects that people have. Like I say, I'm just here to offer ideas, and I love to hear your ideas. And I'm hoping this is a place where, you know, I don't come in and just tell you this is going to be the way it is, but you actually there's some give and take, and you are actually telling me and the other administrators here, this is what I think, this is what I want to do. This is the way I want to do it. Because ultimately, this is your community. This is your illness. And you are smart people. You do not need anybody else to tell you what to do. You have good ideas all on your own. And you have ways of making those happen that we may not even know about or have considered. So we genuinely want to hear from you and want to know what are some of the things you want to pursue and what are the ways you want to pursue them. So if you're willing to help and you want to be involved, I'm asking you to please comment under this post or send me a private message, and we will try to go from there. And hopefully we can set some overall goals and priorities and then come up with a plan in each of those areas for how to meet those goals. I will again try to make a separate post about what some of the projects are that we're regularly involved in, But I just thought this would be a good starting place. And I appreciate you listening to me. If you've made it to the end of the video, kudos to you. You're good people. And I will make a post a little while later. I appreciate you listening. Thanks.